This is wide receiver Jeremy Curley of the New York Jets, and you're listening to the Shorts Sports Show.
What is going on, guys? I'm your host, Dan the Short. Today is Monday, October 5th, 2015. And in case you guys did not know, we are happily. I don't know. I was trying to think of an intro right there. Couldn't really think of one. But I'm excited for this show. We got a lot of good news to talk about on college football and the NFL. We're even going to be talking about MLB, Major League Baseball, and the playoffs. I told you guys we would. I know we usually just, mainly with baseball and basketball, we talk about them when the season starts and then when the playoffs happen, just because of the fact that it is such a long season, 162 games and then 82 games for basketball. For the people that do podcasts on just basketball and just baseball, major props out to you, because there's no way I could talk about baseball for the how many months they go on and truly be in depth about it and upbeat every show, because I love baseball. When it starts off, I'm in it for the first month and a half, 2 months, and then excuse me, I start losing interest really quickly. I'm a huge Dodgers fan. I'm a huge Mariners fan. If I had tickets to go, I would go. If I had season tickets, I would go. I'm just not in that position right now. And in basketball, I'm a huge Lakers fan. I like the Spurs as well. I just, I can't be in it for all 82 games. Even if we're undefeated, I couldn't do it. Football, on the other hand, the 16 to 20-something weeks of football, I'm that's all me. That is all me. I'm all in it from the beginning. But yeah, so major props out to you. But anyways, we'll be talking about some Major League Baseball news and previewing the games, which they start tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting with the Houston Astros at the New York Yankees, which I'm rooting for the Astros. I'm rooting for the Astros for that game. So we'll talk about that. But first, we have some college football news to talk about, and that is Georgia head coach Mark Rich said he's sticking with Grayson Lambert as the Bulldogs starting quarterback. Now, Lambert's completed just 10 of 24 passes for 86 yards and a terrible loss to Alabama of 38-10. Bryce Ramsey, the backup quarterback, also got some playing time, but he only completed one pass, and two others were interceptions, one pick six. It was terrible. Everybody knew this was the biggest game for Georgia, right? The last time Alabama was at Georgia Bulldog fans, please cover your ears for the next about 20 seconds. I'm so sorry. Last time Alabama was at Georgia, they were an underdog as well, I believe. And Georgia was pumped about this game, wearing the black unis. Everybody was going crazy until the first half ended, and that was when Alabama was up 31-0. This game, almost the same as Alabama just dominated Georgia. Now, the only good thing is, and I want to point this out because I was right, I took a bunch, I'm telling you guys, a bunch of criticism for this. I said Nick Chubb would run over this Alabama defense. I know what Alabama had done to Wisconsin. I know what they had done to other rushing teams. But Nick Chubb is something special, something different, and he was going to be able to run over Alabama. He did over 100 yards, I believe 120-something yards over Alabama. Did an amazing job. He carried his part. He did what he had to do. Georgia offense, other than running, could not do it. Could not pick up their slack. And Lambert, who was, I believe, one of the nation's best completion quarterbacks right now, obviously dropped 10 of 24 again for 86 yards. Just bad news. And then it got even worse when linebacker Reggie Carter, he is now out for the season after undergoing shoulder surgery. He only played in one game this season. But also receiver Isaiah McKenzie, who has a left hamstring injury, and center Brandon Cublano, has a sprained ankle and are questionable for Saturday's game against Tennessee. I mean, this is going to be tough for Georgia. They have to bounce back. Now, Tennessee is that wild card team. They had a whole lot of hype with them. I was part of that hype. I believe they were going to do something special. I was rooting for Tennessee this season. Obviously, they're not that team that we all thought they were. And, but they could give Georgia some trouble here. Georgia, if they let this letdown that they had against Alabama get to them with Tennessee, Tennessee's going to take advantage of that. Tennessee has nothing to lose, so they're going to go out there and ball out. Georgia now is trying to bounce back and make sure things are all right and getting this team and these fans motivated. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So, Georgia, I rooted for you guys. I had you guys in my picks. I picked Georgia, and Alabama did it again. Damn Alabama. Check this out. So the Big 12 on Sunday acknowledged an officiating mistake that incorrectly awarded Oklahoma State a first down Saturday and said the officials involved would be disciplined. And check this out. This was a bad call. Now, we all know, before I get on with the story, we all know the Big 12 is probably the worst officiating anywhere and out of all the conferences. Now, I know people for each conference are going to say, oh, well, the Pac-12's bad. The SEC referees are bad. I tend not to believe what the SEC fans have to say because they're more biased than anything, but that's just me. ACC, I don't really hear anything from the ACC, but again, they had that bad call with Florida State and Notre Dame back with Jameis Winston. That was a pretty bad call. But anyways, the Big 12 has probably the worst. No, it is the worst officiating crews ever in college football. I mean, they are terrible, and this was just a prime example of how bad they truly can be. It's ridiculous. Check this out. The Cowboys, Oklahoma State Cowboys, scored on their drive on defeating Kansas State, of course, 36-34. But this is what happened. In the final 3 minutes before halftime, Oklahoma State had a 1st and 10 at the Kansas State 45-yard line. So try to visual it real quick. All right, 1st and 10 on the 45 of Kansas State. After a holding call, a sack, and a 4-yard reception, the Cowboys faced a 3rd and 23, right? Quarterback Mason Rudolph then completed a pass to Marcel Aitman for 19 yards. Obviously, that is short. 4 yards short of a first down. Not to these referees. Not to this. The first down marker, however, was mistakenly placed at the Kansas State 40 instead of the 35. Officials didn't catch the error, and that right there awarded the Cowboys a first down instead of a 4th and 4. Ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't like it was real close, like it might have been a yard shy of it. A 4th and 4. It was 4 yards. We all, no matter where you're standing in the crowd, in that stadium, or you're watching at home with multiple replays, there is no way you have missed that. I didn't watch the game, so obviously I didn't see, but it is on YouTube. I'm going to watch it later, mainly because I'm scouting to see what Kansas State's going to be like for TCU and Oklahoma State down in the future. But 4 yards short. 4. That is ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous. And then 4 plays later, Oklahoma State scored on a touchdown to cut Kansas State's lead to 28-20, less than a minute before halftime. And, of course, the Cowboys eventually won the game on a 37-yard field goal in the final seconds. Now, that doesn't mean that this touchdown ultimately won, Oklahoma State the game. Yes, did it give another 7 points to end up, later on kicking a field goal to win it, to tie it and stuff, and win it? Yes. But that doesn't mean automatically had they, had the correct call been made, it was a 4th and 4, they punted, and Kansas State gets it back. Doesn't mean Kansas State's going to score. What if they had fumbled the punt? What if they threw an interception? Running back fumbles it, receiver fumbles it, or they just go 4 and out, and Oklahoma State later scores again. Doesn't mean they win the game. So I'm not knocking Oklahoma State for winning this. I'm not saying this game was won because of that. I mean, yes, it led to a scoring drive, but anything could have happened. Anything could have, Oklahoma State could have scored on anything. it's just a bad call. This is more a knock on the referees, not on Oklahoma State, which Oklahoma State is not good anyways. But it's crazy to think you're 4 yards shy. I mean, how do you not pick that up? I understand the first down marker was placed wrong, but even that guy who holds the first down marker, I don't know. I would think there's people, listening up top, from the booth saying, hey, that guy is short. We're watching it. That's not where the first down marker is. Someone's got to be talking to the referees at all time. Obviously didn't happen. Afterward, Kansas State head coach Bill Snyder told the Kansas City Star that he had noticed the error, but did not elaborate, saying, quote, I'm trying to think right now what the official told me. I can't remember. Big 12 officiating came under fire last week, actually, with Texas being flagged 16 times for 128 yards in a last-second loss to Oklahoma State. Ironically, I guess the Big 12 wants Oklahoma State to keep winning. The most controversial sequence occurred when Texas defensive tackle Poona Ford was flagged for a defensive holding on a running play late in the fourth quarter. And, of course, Charlie Strong went to go argue that and was later penalized for unsportsmanlike conduct by the line judge, who appeared to bump into Strong on the sideline immediately before throwing the flag. So honestly, it's bad. It's been bad. I've watched it since. I mean, we all know how bad it's been. Remember, think back here. Put your thinking caps on. And remember back, was it 2008, 2009? I'm trying to get the numbers right in my head. It was the Big 12 championship game. Texas, Nebraska, at Cowboy Stadium, Jerry's World. You all remember it. If you don't, go watch the ending. There's multiple highlights everywhere you can imagine. Nebraska should have won the Big 12 championship that year. I think, it was Texas national championship year, or at least when they made it to the championship to play Alabama. Nebraska should have won that game. They gave Texas 1 second left after, I don't know what it was. I can't remember. They gave them 1 second left, though, when there shouldn't have been. It should have been a runoff, done. Nebraska wins the championship. But they gave Texas 1 second left, enough to kick a field goal. And Texas makes the field goal to win the Big 12 championship and continue their path. Absolutely, just ridiculous. The Big 12 has been terrible. It's bad. It's bad. So hopefully they really do come down on them, because this was even a stupid mistake. But thankfully it wasn't a huge game at like the Big 12 championship game. But man, it's bad. It's bad. What else? Okay, these are true stories right here of how stupid you could possibly be with those referees and with Texas cornerback Chris Boyd. Now, I'm sure all of you guys have now heard about this. He has now apologized for retweeting what a Texas A&M fan tweeted during halftime of Texas' 50-7 loss to TCU on Saturday. Boyd's Twitter account retweeted at Texas A&M fans, which stated, quote, and the A&M fan had tagged in, I think, Malik Jefferson, Chris Boyd, and I think maybe another player. I don't really know. But this is what it said, saying, quote, whenever y'all ready to transfer, we're ready. That's it. The Longhorns were trailing 37-0 to TCU at halftime. And in a statement released by the school yesterday, on Sunday, Boyd apologized and tried to affirm his loyalty to Texas, saying, quote, I extend my sincerest apology to all of the Longhorn fans and family and everyone at UT. In no way did I intend to be disrespectful or disloyal. I am 100% committed to this team and program, end quote. If I am Chris Boyd, I want to get out of there. I want to get out of UT, because not only are you having a bad season, a terrible season, Texas fans are pissed at everybody. I'm just saying, back in the past, even before my days, if you did something like that, I mean, not tweeting obviously, but you said something, out of all the schools you decided to choose to retweet this, A&M, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's common sense. That hits you. That is common freaking sense. You don't have to be a Texas fan to know that. you know you should never say that you want to transfer to Texas A&M or to Oklahoma. You could say Kansas State. You could say Oklahoma State. You could say Tech. I mean, Tech is kind of a rival, but not as much as A&M. You can say Baylor. You could say whatever. But A&M, are you kidding me? This is the Auburn of Alabama for Texas. You don't do that. That's woo. That is dumb. That is dumb. It's Monday morning. That happened on Saturday, but he made a stupid mistake doing that. And of course, he personally apologized to his coaches and teammates. I want to know how shaky he was when he told Charlie Strong himself. Obviously, Strong already knew about it. He was told at halftime, or I believe at the end of the game, when Texas head coach Charlie Strong made it clear after the game that the players' use of phones during games is prohibited by the team, saying, quote, they should never be on their phone at halftime. Now, Chris Boyd is a true freshman cornerback, and he was listed playing against TCU, but did not record any stat. And in 5 games as a Longhorn, he recorded 13 tackles so far. The tweet has since been deleted, and there have been no further tweets from that account since the incident. I don't even know what you say to your teammates. Guys that are bleeding orange, that are wanting to win so bad and wanting to put Texas back on top, and then you go and do that. It doesn't matter if you're a freshman or you're a senior. I don't. Whew, that is dumb. That is freaking stupid. And how he's still on the team, I don't know. I'm sure there are Texas fans wanting him off the team. I mean, he can't really get any worse, can you? So I would just put my vote in and say get kicked off the team. Because if I'm a Texas fan, that's what I say. I mean, you just straight up if you say it in your head or you say it to your family or something, cool. Keep it in private. When you put it out there in public and to a rival of A&M, I mean that. I don't mean to keep repeating myself, but that is just dumb. Whew. All right. Well, let's move on to the top 25. Of course, it was released yesterday. The coaches poll came out on Sunday, as Sunday morning, as well as the top 25 came out later in the afternoon. And we have a new top 4 and top 5. We now have Ohio State at number 1, but their points, they're shrinking. They're getting closer. TCU moves up from number 4 to number 2 now. Baylor also moves up from 5 to 3. Michigan State drops from 2 to 4. And then we have Utah at number 5, Clemson, LSU, Alabama, A&M, and Oklahoma rounding out the top 10. And 11 through 15 is Florida, Florida State, Northwestern, Ole Miss, and Notre Dame at 15. And Stanford, USC, Michigan, Georgia, UCLA at 20. And 21 through 25 is Oklahoma State, Iowa, California, Toledo, and Boise State at 25. I kind of like the poll. What I was hoping for was Ole Miss keeping it close against Florida. That's all I wanted. But I also wanted Florida to win all my picks. But for this to happen, for Baylor to stay out of the top 4, I wanted Ole Miss to win like 1 point, 2 points, but have an ugly game like they did. So that way TCU moves up, it jumps over Ole Miss, but then Michigan State and Ole Miss hold off Baylor. That didn't happen. Baylor rolled over Texas Tech, and they now move into to number 3. I think this is Baylor's highest ranking. I don't think they've ever been in top 3 or top 4. I think they might have just been 4 last year, and that was it. But let's recap some of these games, and then we'll move on to the NFL. Some news, sadly for the Dallas Cowboys. It just does not get any better for them. Of course, Texas and TCU went at it, and 30-0 at the end of the first quarter. I was excited. I was watching the game, of course, and I was, woo! Anytime it's on ESPN, I can watch the game. I haven't watched ESPN, but TCU and the Big 12 games a majority of them are on Fox. I don't have Fox. I mean, you can't stream Fox unless you have like actual cable. I mean, I don't. So, sucks. But I I'll be able to listen to it, so that's good. I can watch it off my phone, actually. I can watch Fox off my phone, but, I mean, staring at a little screen. I mean, I got the 6 Plus, but it's still a little screen. I'm not trying to go blind. I'm already blind as it is. But anyways, TCU beats Texas 50-7. West Virginia and Oklahoma's real. They are for real. I was waiting till this game to find out who Oklahoma is. And I think we've quickly found out who Oklahoma is. They dominate West Virginia 44-24. I mean, it wasn't even close. It wasn't kind of the first half, and then Oklahoma just pulled away whenever they felt threatened. They just, boom, Baker Mayfield. I don't like him, but, man, he is good right now for Oklahoma. Everything's rolling for the Sooners as they win 44-24. Michigan and Maryland went at it, and the first half was ugly. 6-0 at halftime for Michigan. And that's not what you want to do when you're trying to prove to these, the poll and everybody that you got a solid team. You got to dominate Maryland. Maryland is terrible. They're garbage. But second half, they cleaned it up a little bit, got some things going on the ground, and Michigan gets the victory for the second back-to-back shutout of their season, 28-0. Purdue at Michigan State, and a close game for Michigan State, drops them, of course, 2 spots as Michigan State wins 24-21. Minnesota, TCU needs you to look good and win, and I needed them to beat Northwestern so badly, so it looks better for TCU, but it did not happen as they were shut out 27-0. Northwestern Wildcats get the W. Iowa shuts down Wisconsin 10-6. And running, I mean, that running back at 33. Let me look on it. Let me see his name. 33 for oh my gosh, I think he had a weird name. Let's see. Can I pick your name? I'm doing this off a phone, so it's not gonna let me. Jay Kenzari. Anyways, 26 carries, number 33. 26 carries, 125 yards. Absolutely dominated the game. Alabama defeats Georgia 38-10. Damn, it happened again. Florida State kind of squeaks by Wake Forest, 24-16. No one's really talking about them that much. Tech just gets storm-rolled by Baylor, 63-35. Ohio State squeaks by Indiana. Indiana let that game slip. Ohio State didn't win that game. Indiana lost it. First half, the crowd is energetic. They're all upbeat. Indiana's doing fine. I think they actually had the lead at halftime, and then they just collapse. And Ezekiel Elliott goes off carrying this team as much as he can, putting the team on his back with 3 huge touchdown runs. Ohio State's going to fall one of these times. Whether it's Michigan State, whether it's Michigan, they're going to lose one, if not both of those games. There's no way they win both. Indiana, quick thing for Indiana fans. Try not to get quiet during the game. Stay loud, especially even if you're down a few points, stay loud. I mean, you're part of the reason why Indiana lost. They had no motivation because everybody else was quiet and not doing anything. So I blame Indiana fans as well. Or I'm just a very stubborn non-Ohio State lover. Could be both. Cal beats Washington State 34-28. Wazoo kept it close. Kansas State and Oklahoma State, we just talked about that game, 36-34 in favor of Oklahoma State. Ole Miss dominated by Florida. I told you guys Florida was going to win this game. I didn't think about it this much. 38-10. The last touchdown for Ole Miss was a garbage touchdown. Should have been 38-3. But Florida, looking scary over there. Will Grier doing his thing. Eastern Michigan actually kept it close with LSU until the fourth quarter. Many people look at the score right now. They see the 44-22 victory over Eastern Michigan. They think, oh, normal LSU thing. No, this game was close. But Leonard Fournette does his thing and as he races to Heisman and getting that pose. He needs to do the pose at least once this season. Mississippi State taking on A&M, and Mississippi State loses 30-17. Arizona State defeats UCLA 38-23. Arizona State showing they got some offense with them. Notre Dame loses to Clemson in a close battle, one of the best games of the week, if not the best. 24-22, Clemson gets the W. And Arizona's completely lost it. They have no offense no more. Stanford dominates them 55-17. Maybe Northwestern is just that good. Because, they shut down Stanford. We all thought Stanford was terrible. We already wrote them off. Other than Stanford fans, I believe everybody wrote Stanford off after the week 1 loss to Northwestern. And ever since, they've dominated. They put points on the board. Maybe it was motivation. Maybe that's all they needed. But Arizona, that's what you get for saying bear down when you're called the Wildcats. I still don't understand. No one ever told me why they say bear down if they're called the Wildcats and have no association with bears other than possible real bears living around campus maybe. I don't know. That doesn't make sense. That doesn't make any sense to me. Anyways, let's move on to the NFL. That's it for college football. And we have the Dallas Cowboys. I'm so sorry, Cowboys fans. You lost Sean Lee again, this time to a concussion in the first half of Sunday night's 26-20 loss to the New Orleans Saints, and he did not return. Lee appeared to be injured while making a tackle on the Saints' second drive, and he was replaced by rookie Damian Wilson and with Andrew Gatchkar serving as the dime linebacker. Lee has missed all of last season with a knee injury and has not been able to play an entire season in his career. Missing games with a hamstring, toe, wrist, neck, and knee injuries. He missed the series in last week's loss to the Atlanta Falcons in order to get 8 stitches to close a cut on his lip. He's a great linebacker. Imagine the stats he would have had he been healthy all this time. But he just can't. He's just injury prone. He's just one of those players. He's not weak. That doesn't mean he's weak. It's just he just gets the bad cards. That's all. It's just bad. Of course, Lee entered Sunday's game as the Cowboys' leading tackler, credited coaches with 34 tackles. He also had a sack, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback pressures, and an interception, and 2 pass deflections. He's been everywhere. He's a great linebacker, one of the best when he's healthy. But also, the news didn't get any better for Dallas as they lost Lance Dunbar possibly to a ACL and MCL injury, tears. He did get an MRI this morning, and we should know pretty soon, but most likely it is a torn ACL and MCL in his knee. Wide receiver Bryce Butler, who they just acquired a couple weeks ago from the Oakland Raiders, also left the game with a hamstring injury. He had 1 huge catch for 67 yards, and that was it. But the good news for Dallas Cowboys fans is you get Greg Hardy and Rolando McClain back. You get them back. Huge, because your defense needs a little bit of tweaking. Obviously, with some injuries now to Sean Lee, you get Rolando McClain to take his spot. Greg Hardy back out there. DeMarcus Lawrence. Woo! Cowboys defense might be getting back. Maurice Claiborne finally doing his thing. And here comes DeMarco Murray making his news once again. DeMarco Murray says he knew what he was getting into when he signed with the Philadelphia Eagles as a free agent. But after a 1-3 start, Murray was asked if he's getting the ball enough, saying, quote, "Do I think I'm touching the ball enough? No, I'm not. I don't think I am. But it's the plays that are being called. I love this offense. I love playing with these guys. It's just how it is." End quote. In the Eagles' 23-20 loss at the against Washington on Sunday, Murray carried the ball just 8 times for 36 yards. He also caught 2 passes for 12 yards. And through 3 games for Murray, he has had 29 carries for 47 yards. Check this out. One of those carries was 30 yards. So that means basically 28 carries for 17 yards. That's what he's had, other than that 1 carry he had that was for 30 yards. Not doing so good. Told you. It was the offensive line, Murray. Told you. Murray said he did not plan to talk to Eagles head coach Chip Kelly about the workload, saying, quote, "I don't need to go to anyone. It is what it is. We all watch film and get better. Everyone has to get better. Losing a game like this in the division, going 0-2 in the division, it sucks," end quote. Murray missed last week's game to the New York Jets with a hamstring injury. And the Eagles obviously beat the Jets 24-17 for their only victory of the season. They need to just have the Pope there. If he's there, Eagles, you're probably going to go undefeated and win the Super Bowl. Without the Pope, well, you suck. Another team that's kind of sucking right now, and that's the Miami Dolphins. After sinking fast after a 1-3 start, they entered the season with playoff expectations, but nearly all that hype and happiness that they had before the season is all gone. 3 straight losses with a combined score of 91-48. That is what they have played so far. Dolphins head coach Joe Philbin isn't worried about his job security after meeting with the owner Stephen Ross following the team's 3rd straight loss on Sunday, saying, quote, "No, not at all. I'm worried about getting this team straightened out and fixed and getting our team ready to play the Tennessee Titans." The Dolphins do have a bye week this week, which is good for them because they need every help they can get right now. The Dolphins have looked terrible and have trailed at halftime in each of their 4 games. Miami's also been outscored 37-3 in the first quarters this season. Philbin says he plans to keep defensive coordinator Kevin Coyle, who is also on the hot seat. There's been growing disconnect between players and Coyle's defensive scheme, and Philbin confirmed Sunday that the players met with Coyle this week to exchange ideas on what could work better. Saying, quote, "It wasn't continuous. We had a defensive meeting on Monday, and we talked about things. Players talked, coaches talked. He met individually with different groups and got some feedback and some input," end quote. But obviously that didn't work, and nothing changed in performance. Miami allowed 425 yards, total yards, and a season-high 207 rushing yards against the Jets. Now, am I calling for Joe Philbin and the Miami defensive coordinator Kevin Coyle to be off and get fired? No. But they need to approach the game differently. I don't think anybody, even including Miami Dolphins fans that I've talked to, I don't think any of them truly like the coaching style Joe Philbin brings to the Miami Dolphins. He's not upbeat. He's not, really one of those coaches that he's not easy to talk to. He doesn't look like you could just approach him. He looks very down. He looks very kind of alone-ish, kind of just wants to be in his own thing. I mean, you look at all the other coaches, they're upbeat. They're motivated. They just look different. And Joe Philbin really isn't that. He's just there. He's just a shell and not really coaching. Kevin Coyle, on the other hand, don't really know too much about him. But obviously his defensive scheme isn't working. And I mean, there's no way you have a pretty solid defense from the past couple of years to just being absolutely terrible this year. I mean, nothing's really changed. A few players have left, but you got Ndamukong Suh. That's supposed to plug up your middle right there. You got Cameron Wake on the defensive line or outside linebacker sometimes. Some solid secondary, probably could pick up another piece. But things have just not worked out for the Dolphins. I think you wait a little bit until mid-season, probably about 6, 7, maybe week 8 to find out really where this team's at. Not week 6. Week 6 is almost here. 7, 8, maybe 9. And if it still looks terrible where things aren't happening, you fire the defensive coordinator, give another week to Joe Philbin, things still don't happen, then you fire him too and you move on. Because I think coaches would love to go to Miami to go coach over there because they know the potential that's there. I mean, they don't even run the freaking ball. Lamar Miller dominates the running game. You got great running backs behind there. You can rotate. Ryan Tannehill, solid. You got some receivers out there that can really make some things happen, but it's just a play calling. It's everything mostly on the coach's side. You just got to tell them straight up, look, be motivated. Go out there, break out of your shell or something. I mean, it's terrible to look at Joe Philbin when he's on the sideline. Every time the camera goes over there, I'm instantly hit with bored. I'm just bored. Just boredness just hits me. I'm just like, oh my God, what am I doing? What am I watching? He's not that coach. I don't know. I get it. You want to be serious, but at the same time, move around. Be upbeat when things are going good. And when things aren't going good, motivate them a little bit more. Don't just stand on the sideline, your long face down, walking around. It's just, it's so terrible to watch. But we'll just have to see. We'll have to see what happens to Joe Philbin and the Miami coaching staff. Not looking too good. So let's recap some of the games. Again, tonight we have Monday Night Football. The 0-3 Lions look to get their first victory against the 1-2 Seattle Seahawks. Marshawn Lynch is out. Again, the game is on ESPN, 7:30 Central Time. And let's go Seahawks. Ravens, of course, beat the Steelers. We talked about that on Friday's show. The Chargers come back against the Browns to win 30-27. The Saints get an 80-yard touchdown pass from Drew Brees to C.J. Spiller to win the game in overtime, 26-20. The Jets beat the Dolphins. We just talked about that, 27-14. Colts take it to overtime with the Jacksonville Jaguars and beat them 16-13. Matt Hasselbeck gets the victory. The Giants dominate the Buffalo Bills 24-10. Carolina Panthers 37-23 over the Bucks, and the Panthers 4-0. 4-0 for the Panthers. The Eagles lose to the Redskins 23-20. The Raiders, whoa, man, how do you let this game slip? You had this. The Bears beat the Raiders 22-20. The time, isn't that weird to say how like the Raiders are favorite and they should have won this game against the Bears? Like, what is this? The like early 90s, 80s. Texans get crushed by the Falcons, 48-21. Falcons undefeated as well. Bengals go undefeated, 36-21 against the Kansas City Chiefs. Packers did not blow out the 49ers. 49ers kept it close, but they still have no offense. 17-3, Packers get the victory and remain undefeated. Rams beat the undefeated Cardinals 24-22. Todd Gurley comes out. Huge game for him, as well as Tavon Austin, who finally shows up. I think this is like his once a year game that he comes out and does some work. And then the Broncos beat the Vikings 23-20. Again, Monday Night Football, the Lions taking on the Seattle Seahawks, 7:30 Central Time on ESPN. Going to be a good game. Going to be a solid game. So let's talk about some MLB playoffs as we wrap up the show. And let's see if I can get my phone. All right, good. So the first game is tomorrow night, Tuesday, October 6th. Houston Astros at the New York Yankees. That is going to be a good game. It's going to be a good game. I'm rooting for the Astros mainly because I don't like the Yankees. I hate the Yankees. And I want the Astros to win. Get a little taste of playoff. That way they can say, at least the season was a success. I mean, it was no matter what, but at least everything they did, they at least won one playoff game. Because I think everybody believed the Astros record would be the opposite of what it is right now. Losing about 80-something games and not winning 80-something games. And they came out of nowhere. Yankees, on the other hand, they're always the Yankees, but no one really knew. They knew they probably had a chance to make playoffs. They actually do this time. Come on, Astros. That game is on ESPN at 7 o'clock Central Time. And then Wednesday, October 7th, you have the Chicago Cubs at the Pittsburgh Pirates. And I like the Pirates, but I'm going for the Cubs here. Jake Arrieta, a TCU alum. I got to root for him and an amazing season he's had. Going for the Chicago Cubbies here. And then the winner of the Houston Astros and Yankees game will take on the Kansas City Royals. Game starting Thursday, October 8th. That game will be at Kansas City on Fox Sports 1, or MLB Network. I don't know, maybe it's on all three, or they haven't decided just yet, but it'll be on that. The series goes from October 8th on a Thursday to possibly October 14th on a Wednesday. That's 5-game series if necessary. All of it in Kansas City until Game 3 when it'll be on the road. The Texas Rangers and the Toronto Blue Jays also play from October 8th to possibly October 14th with Texas at Toronto. Toronto Blue Jays being the home field team. The winner of the Chicago Cubs and the Pittsburgh Pirates, they will take on the St. Louis Cardinals. Best of luck to those teams. Of course, St. Louis has home field all the way through. That goes October 9th through possibly October 15th. And then the series I'm most looking forward to is my LA Dodgers hosting the New York Mets. It's perfect because they got to travel all the way to us in the first game. Sucks that we got to go over there in just a short time, though. It starts Friday, October 9th on TBS. The whole series is on TBS. Mets at the Dodgers. And then possibly, if necessary, through October 15th, with the Mets at the Dodgers again. So, interesting playoffs. I like majority of all these teams except for the Yankees. Those are the only teams I don't care about. So, anybody else, I'm good with. So, it's going to be interesting playoffs. We'll talk about that more each week as we progress. Again, next show is this Friday morning, the Short Sports Show on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, iTunes, YouTube, Stitcher Radio. I'm everywhere. We're everywhere, guys. Thank you guys so much for the support. As always, God first, God bless, and I will see you guys Friday morning. Tweet out the show. Follow me on Twitter at @short_sports 24/7. Become a fan on Facebook. Link is down below. All the links to everything are down below in the description. Be sure to click them. Share them with your friends and family. And I will see you guys then. I'm out. Peace.